Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Monday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. Got an action-packed show here on this Monday. We're going to kick it off here in a second with JC. Then we'll be joined by Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Just kind of get an update on the Gators. Supposed to kick off practice today, getting ready for the Missouri Tigers. Then we'll end the show with Danny Wuerffel talking about his Desire Cup event that will be going on at Sea Island, Georgia, this Thursday and Friday. But now let's go to the Titan MR hotline. We're joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Yeah, good morning there, QB. Another weekend come and gone. And, we are back into game week mode, and it's really going to be interesting to hear what Scott says later in this show as to how Florida is going to plan on preparations for this game against Missouri coming up next weekend here in town. Good couple surprises, so I'm feeling good about it.
Feeling good. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the college football. Recap where we stand with our picks over the weekend.
So you want to talk about the picks? Of course you do, since you won, and I don't blame you for that. I would feel the same way. You went 8-8, very serviceable 8-8. You had some of the same losers I did. You had Mississippi, I had Auburn, but you also had Michigan and I had Minnesota. You had Pittsburgh, I had Notre Dame, but then you took Cincinnati and I had SMU. You also took Purdue and I took Iowa. I go 6-9. So on the year, you are a spectacular 27-18. Pretty good against the spread. I am 24-21. So you go again 8-8. I go 6-9. We both lost our NFL Game of the Week pick with the Tennessee Titans at home. Gostkowski, what are you going to do? You can't kick a field goal to win a game. You're not going to win. Big upsets, though, in college football. A couple big games. Rutgers got their first win in, 3 years they haven't gotten a conference win, and now they get a conference win on the road at Michigan State. So,
I got a stat on that game I want to read real quick.
Yeah, let's hear it.
In the first 83 drives in Big Ten play last year, the State University of New Jersey, better known as Rutgers, scored three touchdowns. In fact, it had just 6 touchdowns in 117 all year in conference play. And they had 3 touchdowns in their first 6 drives on Saturday.
Well, and when you have a kid named Isaiah Pacheco, obviously you have an advantage. And here is Rutgers getting 28 points in the first half. It's obvious that Greg Schiano is putting his fingerprint on that team already. They've had a lot of time to prepare to play football, and they were certainly better prepared than Michigan State under Mel Tucker. So that's a big upset, and it's good to see, I guess, for the State University of New Jersey, which is what they are, and I'm glad to see that. No surprise in Ohio State. The only thing that just didn't seem right was the empty horseshoe. That was kind of cryptic when you look at that massive building and absolutely no one there to watch Ohio State. They must have been all at the Trump rallies or something. I don't know, but they were not at the horseshoe, and 52-17 is all you need to see. And Nebraska, this is the year where Scott Frost has to show some improvement. I think he's in his 3rd year, and Scott Frost was a hot commodity and a hot tamale coming out of UCF, but Nebraska fans want more than that. I don't know if they can expect it because it's Nebraska nowadays, and they don't seem to get the players they used to get in the 70s and 80s or 90s. But certainly they don't seem to be any different than they have been, and Ohio State worked them once again, just like we thought they would.
I thought they were much improved, honestly. I just think Ohio State's that much better. Yeah, Nebraska's going to beat a lot of folks this year.
You might be right. I mean, the Big Ten West, who knows after what we saw Michigan do to Minnesota. I guess you have Wisconsin, you have Northwestern, who looked pretty good with their new quarterback under Pat Fitzgerald there. it's kind of like the SEC. I'm still trying to figure out if the East and the West, who's better in the SEC. And I think after we saw LSU dismantle South Carolina, I'm starting to lean back toward the West. Before that, I was kind of leaning toward the East. But to me, in the Big Ten, it's just the opposite. The East is clearly a class different than the West in that
We got a
conference,
Facebook Live comment here brought to you by Meldon Law, where you matter most. Nat says, that was the biggest shocker this weekend. Who would have thought they would have beaten Michigan State?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, what's interesting is, I was watching College Game Day, and the Bear, who picks games for him, picked Rutgers to win the game.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I don't think Michigan State's going to win many games this year. They are a bad football team. I'm not sure Mel Tucker is a very good head coach. So we'll see. But Greg Schiano's a good coach. He's already been at Rutgers once before. This is his second rodeo there. Yeah. And they had a lot of success. So
they did.
I don't know who Rutgers plays this week. I don't think it's one of the major teams in the Big Ten, but heck, they could go 2-0 for all we know.
And that would be tremendous for them up there. But again, they play Indiana at home, so that could be an interesting game to look at. Maybe we'll pick it on Friday. The other thing that stood out to me was the way Cincinnati really smoked SMU and really shut down the SMU offense with a very suffocating defense. Luke Fickell has it going at Cincinnati. They win 42-13, and Cincinnati's a team that is ranked in the top 10, but also has Memphis coming up, has an improved Houston team coming up, and plays UCF in Orlando. So we're going to find out about Cincinnati. But let's say they run the table and go undefeated. How can you keep them out of the conversation for the Final Four? I don't know if the Final Four will look at a group of 5 team, but at least it should enter the conversation. I think it will because of how impressive they are.
Yeah, some people, I can't remember who it was on one of the shows I watched, picked Cincinnati to be in the 14 playoff before the season started. Penn State loses on a controversial call to Indiana. Here's what's amazing about that game. Penn State outgained Indiana 498 yards to 211 and lost the football game. Yeah, that's amazing.
That is amazing. I don't know. I mean, I think Indiana is one of those teams that can scare you on any given day, but they're still Indiana and they'll lose 5 games this year. But maybe not this edition. Maybe this team will have something better than a 5-5. Well, I guess they only play 4 games or 8 games, so they would be a 5-3 type team or a 3-5 type team. I don't know what Indiana has, but it was nice to see. They were excited. I loved seeing their players go crazy. I loved seeing that last play. Would you have called that a touchdown? I think as it happened on the field, once they called it a touchdown, it would have been too hard to overturn.
Yeah, it's very close. I don't really know what my
well, you have to make a decision the moment it happens. You have to.
Well, at the moment it happens, it looks like it. But when you go back and watch the replay, it looks like the ball lands out of bounds first, then hits the pylon. But look, I don't think either one of those teams are going anywhere. What Penn State may have been overrated, I don't know. But give Indiana credit; they're coming off a bowl game last year. This guy has them believing. Their quarterback Penix Jr. is down from the Tampa area. Yeah. So,
were you?
Was I what?
Yeah. No. Were you impressed with the effort that came out of the Michigan Wolverines with 49 points at Row the Boat? Because I mean, they don't score 49 points. Michigan never scores 49 points.
They don't, but it's still. I'm not gonna. I mean, a lot of football still left. No, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. You got to remember too. I want to say Minnesota turned it over a couple of times, gave them a short field.
Yeah. So we have an unbeaten still. We have an unbeaten still in the Big 12 QB. Good game there. Iowa State, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State got the chance to run the table in the Big 12. You think Oklahoma gets them in the last?
I don't know who all they play everybody in that league.
They play everybody in the conference.
I don't know who they got left, but I think Oklahoma will beat them. I do. I don't know what it is about Oklahoma State. They don't wow me for any reason. And maybe that's a good thing because usually that's what you like from out of the Big 12. So we'll see. I don't know when they play each other.
What about that LSU team with 52 points? I mean, the offense is going to be good. They had a freshman playing a quarterback on Saturday night at home. Never heard from this guy before because he was behind Miles Brennan. Miles Brennan gets banged up, and they put him in there, and he just runs it up on South Carolina. Well, I was surprised that South Carolina didn't put up a better fight than than what they showed.
I was very
LSU.
surprised. I wasn't surprised that TJ Finley put up big numbers and played well because Miles Brennan, what people don't understand, Miles Brennan was ahead of pace through 3 or 4 games than what Joe Burrow, the pace he was on last year. So that tells you Miles Brennan was playing extremely well. They have weapons. I was shocked at how they protected. I thought South Carolina has very good defensive back play, but LSU just they got so many talented receivers. But the biggest issue was South Carolina's offense. Colin Hill didn't play well, threw a pick six. They had a kickoff returned on them. They missed 3 or 4 field goals. They had opportunities. They just didn't take advantage of them. But I was very surprised at how that game unfolded. But LSU looked a lot better. I will say that. The one game that was interesting to me that the Gators play next week, play the Missouri Tigers, and this game scares the heck out of me.
Yeah.
I was impressed with Missouri. But here's some stats from the Missouri-Kentucky game that just will baffle you. Okay. Missouri had 421 yards of offense on this great Kentucky defense.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky only had 145 yards of offense.
They're bad.
26 first downs to 8 first downs.
Yeah.
Missouri ran 92 plays. Kentucky ran 36.
Well, that's what blew my mind was how many more plays Missouri had with the ball. That's almost 3 times as many plays. So,
and then the time of possession, 43 minutes to 16 minutes.
Well, Kentucky couldn't get off the field, and Missouri really just hammered them. I don't know about this Missouri team. I can't tell if they're really, really good, or I will say Bazelak, and we're going to probably talk about this team obviously a lot more this week, but he's done well for them behind center, and that's been the primary reason I think for them winning. But that was an impressive win. I'll tell you another win that had to happen. For their particular program was Auburn winning at Mississippi by 7. I don't know who to trust there. I don't trust either one of these teams, but Mississippi had another chance to win a game that they just couldn't figure out how to win. I don't know why Auburn scored that last touchdown. That's the last thing you want to allow, and yet they got that big play. But I'm not ready to – I think LSU and Auburn this week is going to show us a lot.
LSU is way better than Auburn. Auburn is not a good football team.
Well, I know, but you know how this goes. I mean, LSU still has to, like you say, show us on defense. And if Auburn can just run the football, just run the football. Auburn, I think, can stay in it with their defense. Alabama, did what we thought they would do. 14 straight wins over Tennessee. That rivalry is now overshadowed by the fact that probably the most exciting player in college football is no longer going to be playing for Alabama, and we probably will have seen his last college game for Jalen Waddle, and it's a heartbreaking thing because it happened on a kickoff. And
first play of the game.
That doesn't have to happen. He can always just let it go or fair catch it. I know he was trying to make a play, and I don't blame him for that because that's what he does, and he's done it as well or better than anybody in college football the last 2 years. But to lose him, I think, takes a lot of points off the board for Alabama. I know they can put other guys in the game, but they can't put another Jalen Waddle in the game. He was one of the reasons why they beat Georgia. He was. And he's also one of the reasons why they've won so many games because of the plays he creates, the things he can do. And having that gone now will make it tougher for Devontae Smith on the other side. I know Mechie's a pretty good player, but you need more than 2 receivers, I think. And I think that Waddle not playing now hurts Alabama tremendously.
The other guy played extremely well. Did you not watch the game?
He did okay, Slade, but I think that he's not Jalen Waddle. And see, here's what it is. Alabama's not going to have a problem winning the West. We are pretty confident saying that. They can
beat Clemson without Jalen Waddle.
That's where I'm not sure. I'm not sure they can beat Clemson or Ohio State. I think that's where it's going to affect Alabama's chances because obviously we know that they have to outscore teams to win games. That defense is hard to trust when they allow people to get behind them in the backfield. They don't have that front seven push.
Whoa. See, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
No, I'm not.
Your defense is allowing people to get behind them. The opposing teams are letting your receivers get behind them. That's the way the game has changed.
But Mac Jones and Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle and players like that are better than Jared Garantano and whoever the hell he's throwing to, okay? They're better than those players. And I think the fact is that Alabama's defense – I don't know why they play man coverage. They should just play soft and just try to bend but not break kind of thing. Alabama's offense is going to have to outscore everybody, right, if they're going to beat Clemson and Ohio State and maybe have to beat Georgia or Florida. So the thing is that without one of the best players in college football, I think it hurts, and I don't think there's any doubt it's going to affect them. But you don't seem to think that. I
don't. Because he's not the quarterback. If he was the quarterback, I would be concerned. There's plenty of wide receivers on that roster, and trust me, I realize he's the best receiver in the country, hands down. But that's not going to change any output that Alabama has on offense, not one bit.
Well, I hope you're right. Their offensive line is good. Their running game is good. Mac Jones is good. They won't have a problem winning the West, I don't think. And I just worry about what happens after that. But I'm obviously way too far ahead of myself here. But I just hate seeing a guy like that go down. He's so good. But, around here, we're thinking about Florida and Missouri.
Right.
And
before we get to the Florida-Kentucky game, here's a great stat,
Missouri.
too.
They're playing Missouri.
Here's another great stat going back to Tennessee.
All right.
So the last three coaches at Tennessee, Derek Dooley, Butch Jones, and Jeremy Pruitt. Okay, last three coaches.
Mm-hmm.
In their first 30 games, these are the losses by 21 points or more. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Dooley had 6.
Yeah.
Butch Jones had 6.
Okay.
Jeremy Pruitt's already had 12.
Wow. Well, when you say inherited nothing, he certainly inherited nothing.
Well, that doesn't. But you can't. I mean, Derek Dooley and Butch Jones, for all the criticism they got, they only lost 6 games by 21 points or more in their tenure through 30 games. This dude's lost 12.
I get it, but the SEC East during those times was not good, and I don't think it's been good for a long time. But I will tell you that I will tell you that Tennessee has a lot of problems right now. Obviously, I thought they would be better. It looked like they could be, but that quarterback just makes too many mistakes. Too many mistakes. They haven't beaten Alabama. They haven't beaten Alabama since. I mean, the iPhone wasn't even invented the last time they.
Well,
beat
JC,
Alabama.
they've only beaten Florida like one time in the last 16 years or something like that.
It's been an awful.
But that stat there just tells you. It's not about what you inherited because and you talk about the SEC East. He hasn't even played Florida and Georgia yet this year.
Oh, I know, but they haven't been a factor in so long. I can't remember the last time they were. And it's just too long for a program like that, I think, with the heritage that they have, and the facilities they have and the fan base they have. It's just shocking to me. We're not talking about Ole Miss. We're not talking about Arkansas, but that's who they have become. And I think it's a crazy thing to see because they can't figure out what to do there over and over again. I think Pruitt will be okay over time because he'll recruit okay. He'll get some better players maybe than those other two coaches. But it's amazing to me that they haven't beaten Alabama. Freshmen today weren't even born or were barely born. So I don't know. It's amazing. It's amazing. 14 straight losses. And they, like you said, they don't touch Florida over the long term. So it looks like it's a 2-horse race. Obviously, Florida needs to get back on the field. That's kind of what I'm waiting for, is to see how these last 2 weeks have affected them. I can't imagine it hasn't affected them in some way. And I understand why you would be concerned when Missouri's coming in here playing the way they are. Yeah.
Well, it's just when you have 16 days off.
That's crazy. In the middle of the season. Yeah. It's like, you're playing tennis for 2 hours or you're playing golf for 3 hours. You go inside, you sit in a recliner, you lean back, you have a few drinks, and then you're being asked to get back out and go play tennis again.
Well, your scenario is a lot easier than trying to play football.
Well, it's just that the layoff is hard. The layoff is what I'm trying to get at. Your body kind of sees. I mean, even if they haven't been able to practice much, or at all. They've
done nothing. The doors have been locked.
Right. So if the doors have been locked, if there's been 16 days off, these kids hopefully have been doing things on their own. But my God, I don't know what you can do to simulate anything that you were used to before all this happened, and it just came at a very bad time. But Florida still has everything in front of it, and those games will still be played, hopefully. We'll see, but hopefully they'll still be played, and Florida can get through the schedule. That's going to be the big question, is how many teams are going to actually get through their schedule.
Refresh your vehicle and your brand with the vehicle wrap from WrapSpot. October's your lucky month at WrapSpot. Mention promo code Shane to receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. We're speaking with JC. Got a few more minutes with him. Then we'll be joined by Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com, and then Danny Wuerffel will wrap up the show for us. JC, let's talk NFL real quick before we get Scott on. A lot of really good games yesterday.
They really were. And I think you have to be impressed right now with Tampa Bay. Who would be surprised if Tampa Bay and Kansas City, let's jump forward real quick before we look back. If Tampa Bay and Kansas City played in the Super Bowl, in Tampa, in January or whenever, do they let 50,000 fans in the stadium? That's the thing. How can you pass it up? But I think right now the way Tampa's playing is impressive. Their defense is overwhelming. I think the Steelers at 6-0 is very impressive with the season they had last year, even without Roethlisberger. He's done just enough. They've got 6-0. They're very good. And I like the way the Bucs right now look. I like the way that the Cardinals are playing right now too, with the 3 wins that they've had in succession, coming back last night to beat Seattle at home. So. I think that's good football. There's some good games. There's obviously some dogs out there, but certainly I think those are the teams right now that I'm looking at. And I don't know. I like seeing new faces. I like seeing the fact that New England's not going to be anywhere near the playoffs this year. I like that. Buffalo didn't look very good yesterday, but they still won. The Jets are horrible. They're awful. They're going to be a 20-point underdog, at Kansas City. In an NFL game. I can't ask you. I mean, I can't tell you when the last time somebody was a 20-point underdog in an NFL game. And the Atlanta Falcons could easily be 4-2 right now, and they're 1-5. And the amazing thing is they still haven't figured out how to finish a football game. How they gave away that game yesterday. One other thing I want to mention before I roll is Tampa Bay tonight has to win, obviously, to force a game 7.
They're playing tomorrow night.
Is it tomorrow night? Excuse me. So tomorrow night we'll talk about Tampa Bay, but I just want to get that in as well. That was a tough loss last night. They had a chance, but they couldn't pull it out. So they had first and third with no outs. You gotta score.
Yeah, Dan says here's a question on Facebook Live, Melvin Law, where you matter most. What's the word on Florida and COVID? We're going to get to that in a minute, Dan, when we talk to Scott Carter. Thanks for sending the 50 stars. Don't really know what that means, but it looks good on the screen here. JC,
Okay.
last thing before we let you go, because Scott Carter's waiting.
Sure.
DK Metcalf made the greatest football play I've ever seen. I've never seen a greater play than that.
Well, I mean, Buda Baker runs a 4.4 something, right? And this guy had a 15-yard, 10-yard head start running, and Metcalf still caught him.
The reason I say it's the greatest play I've ever seen, because it goes to show you. You can control your effort. This guy gave tremendous effort, ran this dude down, and you know what happened? They didn't score 1 point out of it.
They didn't score. He saved.
It was a game-changing play, even though they lost the game. But it was a game-changing play. Greatest play I think I've ever seen.
Well, it was tremendous, and that shows you that there are some guys out there who really do care. And I think he's such a physical specimen. He's amazing, and to watch him hit the Jets, to catch a guy who can run a 4.4 with a running start was unbelievable. And you're right. He saved. That was a defensive play for sure, and he saved points for Seattle, no doubt.
All right. Well, we're gonna. I don't know if we're taking a timeout here or not, but we're going to be joined. Yes, we're going to take a quick timeout here. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com talking Gator football. JC, have a good day, my man.
We'll see you Wednesday. Okay.
At Center State
Gator
Bank,
Nation, this is your former head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. Check out our show, Inside the Huddle with Shane Matthews and Steve Russell, every Tuesday during football season on 8:50 a.m. and 98.1 FM WRUF at 10 o'clock a.m.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Area Rug Masters, your number one choice in Gainesville for all your rug cleaning services.
Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Radware, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance,
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We're going to go now back to the Titan MR hotline, and we're going to be joined by FloridaGators.com senior writer, Scott Carter. Good morning, Scott. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Shane. Feels like a little bit of a regular Monday today compared to the last couple. Hoping that.
Hang on, Scott. What you got in your background right there? What is that? You look like a porcupine.
I know. I figured out the Game of Thrones background because I never know which one of my kids might be running in the background when I do one of these. So I've blacked it out.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Scott. So it's game week. The Missouri Tigers are rolling in here. We've had a couple of people ask on Facebook Live where we stand with all the COVID and stuff. From what I understand, they will be practicing today. Is that correct?
That's the way I understand it too. I know the folks who, whether it's you're working at the UAA or the team, today's the return date, and don't know how that's going to look, Shane, in terms of, practice. I know Dan Mullen said the other day on his SEC conference call, it's not like you can just go back and kind of pretend that these 2 weeks didn't happen. They missed some significant time, obviously, so I would expect them to ease them back as a little bit early in the week and pick up the pace, maybe a little, different than your typical game week. But, this is all unprecedented, as we've talked a lot about so much this year. And now, they got to come back after, it'll be 3 weeks between games. So I'm very interested to see what they're going to look like Saturday and how that impacts them on the field. But they certainly are happy to at least get back into the flow of things.
Yeah, it's going to be strange. 16 days off or what have you. People have asked me, what's it going to be like? I'm like, I have no idea. Nobody's ever experienced this. It's not like a bye week where they're actually out there practicing. They are doing absolutely nothing other than Zoom meetings.
Yeah, they could scout and talk about stuff, but it's not the same as being out there and practicing. And it's like we've talked about earlier in the season, how the offenses were so ahead of the defenses and whether they would catch up. And now it's like we're almost back to square one, at least with Florida, because they played 3 games, but now they missed 2. So, what are we going to see? I have no idea. I'm like you. I think this week's, going to be huge for them. Just how quickly can they reacclimate and get back into the flow? And, how many guys are going to be available? I don't know where all that stands as far as the guys who are quarantining and who have passed the threshold and who still have to wait. So there's going to be a lot of questions throughout the week, Shane, that we still don't have the answers for. But the most interesting one is how they look on Saturday against Missouri after the break.
We got a Facebook Live comment here brought to you by Meldon Law. It comes from Chris. He's basically stating Kyrie Campbell is ready to play. Talking about, I guess on his Twitter feed, it says, all I want to do is ball. What do we know about Kyrie Campbell?
He's been kind of a mystery. First, people speculate it was some kind of suspension, then something to do with COVID. And it's a great question, Shane. I don't know specifically what his deal is. I actually thought we would see him in the Texas A&M game because the first 2 that he was out, and I was thinking we're going to see him. And there's something there that obviously he knows that we don't, or Dan Mullen and him have something going on. I just don't know. I think a lot of people have been surprised that Kyrie Campbell hasn't appeared yet. And, when you look at what they've encountered on defense, is one guy going to turn everything around? No. But I think having him up there could certainly help. He's a veteran guy who's played a lot of snaps. And when going into the 2020 season, he was one of the guys that, you looked up front and you expected to maybe be better this year than he has been in the past, and not been the case.
Scott, when you looking to Missouri, I don't know if you got to watch Missouri play Kentucky, but they kind of lulled you to sleep in this game. They controlled it. They had the ball for like over 42 minutes in the game. Unbelievable. ran like 90-something plays to 30-something plays for Kentucky. What do you think about this Missouri team?
Well, those stats you just said, Shane, that they sound pretty familiar because that's how a couple of Florida's games have played out this year, where they've lost the time of possession significantly, and the other teams ran a lot of plays. And you got to believe that Todd Grantham and Dan Mullen, that's not a scenario that they want to see come to fruition, because it doesn't bode well for the Gators. If even though they're quick strike offensively, you got to keep the other team off the field some. And with the way we've seen them give up big plays, I mean, Missouri obviously would love to duplicate what they did against Kentucky. So it's a game that you look at Florida. I mean, they have more talent. They're going to be favored, obviously, but they're just so crazy. Some of the results we continue to see during this season, and Missouri, that was a good performance on them on Saturday. So that got Florida's defense's attention. Not that much right now needs to get their attention, because they focused on themselves until this break. So again, that's another wild card, Shane. That is just going to be, who knows how that's going to play out Saturday.
Yeah, it's a strange. I mean, give Missouri credit. They've already won two league games against LSU and Kentucky. First-year coach. We've always had trouble with Missouri for whatever reason.
Yep.
16-day layoff. It's a dicey situation. But I saw this stat over the weekend, Scott, and it kind of stuck out to me because everybody's asking, what can we do for the defense? All they can do is watch Zoom tape and maybe make some personnel changes, but I don't really know. But through the first three SEC games last year, which were Kentucky, Tennessee, and Auburn, we had produced 7 sacks in those 3 games. The first 3 games this year, which are all SEC games, we got 8 sacks. I was blown away at that stat.
Yeah. They have some sacks. You're right, because it doesn't feel that they've had it many.
Right.
But I think that goes back into what we just talked about. The other teams have had the ball so much that they've run a lot more plays. So percentage-wise, if you probably looked at those 7 sacks last year versus the amount of plays, it's probably a lot higher percentage they were getting sacks compared to the 8 this year. So that's a factor. I mean, it's an area that they're going to have to continue to be better at to cause real disruption for the quarterback. But it also goes to stopping third down. To me, that's what we can analyze the Florida defense as much as we want, but to me, the biggest factor by far is the third down ratio. They're giving up 59% on third down, I think. It was 12 of 15 at Texas A&M. You're not going to beat Missouri, Texas A&M, or Southwest Missouri State when you do that.
No, not at all. Scott, I guess we'll find out more today when Coach Mullen has his press conference. But, having this time off, I guess the only good thing is guys that were banged up or were hurt before camp may have had some time to heal up and get back. I want to say, was it Ethan White that had like a broken arm or something in preseason camp? He should be coming back, right?
Yeah, he should be close. His was a knee, Shane.
Oh, it was a knee. That's right.
Yeah, obviously he was, targeted at starting center maybe going into the year, and then he has that late knee injury in camp. So he's certainly a guy that at the timetable that Mullen has kind of said in the past he could be back this week. I mean, I know Brad Stewart Jr. went down in concussion protocol after the A&M game, so he should be cleared. So yeah, there's a couple other guys maybe that we haven't seen in terms of injuries or banged up. They'll get back, but I think the most interesting one is the one you kind of said earlier, Kyrie Campbell, because his hasn't really been injury related from my knowledge. So getting any of those guys back will help, because again, you just don't know how this is going to look on Saturday for Florida. It's going to be kind of fascinating, really, to me, when you look back at this week and just the 2020 season. If they can somehow overcome these odds and end up having a really good year and finish, there's a good story there, Shane.
Yeah. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today, 352-244-0840. We're speaking with Scott Carter here on the Titan More Hotline. A couple more minutes with Scott. So, Scott, looking at the offense, obviously have been putting up great numbers. You have this long layoff. How are we going to come back? It's going to be interesting. I had someone ask me, of course, I don't know why they asked this, but Lorenzo Lingard, 5-star running back, why is he not getting in the game and getting any carries? I said, well, maybe he's not as talented or as good a player as the other guys. B, he probably doesn't know the system because these other guys have been in the system much longer than him. What is the reasoning do you think he's not getting any touches?
I think a large part, he's just behind the curve some. He's a new guy. Yeah, the 5 stars, that automatically catches people attention. And a lot of fans assume that if you're a 5-star, you're an instant star. It's not the case. We all know that's not the case. You look at their roster. I mean, Damian Pierce was kind of their targeted guy at the start of the season as far as the guy who probably get most of the carries. Malik Davis, we've seen a lot better Malik Davis. I know he's had a tough fumble at Texas A&M, obviously, but before that fumble, he actually had his best game since his injuries 3 years ago. He had some nice catches that game, I think 3 for 73 yards. So he was coming along. And then, of course, we saw Nyquan Wright emerge in the Texas A&M game. Here's a guy that you didn't know much about, but they went to him in some key moments in that fourth quarter, and he really made some plays. So I think it's just a case of Lingard not getting the opportunity. I mean, he was on the Texas A&M trip. He was on the sideline there. If the coaches had called on him, he was available. But like I always tell people, Shane, when they ask me those kind of questions, when a guy's healthy, hey, the reason he's not playing because the coaches thought somebody else was better prepared.
Exactly.
That's the main thing. It was a coach's decision.
So last couple of minutes here with Scott Carter. So Scott, back to the defense, because that's what everybody wants to talk about. And, LSU, it looks like against South Carolina, they played a little bit better defensively, or I'm not sure if that was just South Carolina just playing poor offense and making some bad decisions. Do you think we can get this thing corrected a little bit? I mean, it's just hard to stop people, period, these days. Yeah. But can we improve a little bit defensively?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can certainly improve some. I mean, we've seen it in the past with this unit, with what Todd Grantham likes to do. We know that they have some talent on defense. For whatever reasons, through 3 games, they haven't had that signature game yet defensively. And it's not going to look like we're familiar with the last several years. I mean, you're not going to hold many teams to under 300 yards these days, Shane. I mean, with the way the offenses are going. So, but in Florida's case, you look at number one, where can we improve? It's got to be in the third down efficiency to me. If you start getting off the field on third down some, it gives you offense back on the field. It gives you a chance to create some separation with these games with the way the offense is playing. It's not exactly the other defenses have been able to stop Florida's offense. So, and you start kind of developing a different kind of game scenario if you open up some leads, and then that helps your defense as well because it puts pressure on the other offense that they're going to throw more. So there's a lot of factors going back and forth. Bottom line is, yeah, I think they can be better. Are they going to be the 86 Bears? No, but they can get better.
Yeah. So what have you been doing during this time with no practice, no games, what have you?
Man, it's been weird, having to kind of do the quarantine thing. I mean, I got some work done here and there, but at my house, it's hard to focus some days with my kids. And so, we just been trying to handle the best we can and, try to get some work done when you can. I watched way too much Netflix probably. And just you really going in to get tested. I mean, I was going in to get tested with like the team and the coaches. I mean, we had to do that too, a lot of staff. So I've had about, 12 COVID tests in the last couple weeks. So I can confirm that I have been negative the whole time. So I'm pretty safe to be around, but I'm glad to actually get back out in the office today.
No doubt. Well, Scott, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. We'll talk to you next week, my man.
All right, Shane. Have a good one.
That's Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Join us. We're going to take our final time out here, and we're going to be joined by the 96 Heisman Trophy winner, Danny Wuerffel.
Hi there, everybody. This is Steve Spurrier, former University of Florida head football coach. And I've been blessed with a lot of things during my playing and coaching career here at the University of Florida. Lucky to win the Heisman Trophy way back in '66. We won the national championship in '96. And now we're bringing that same winning attitude to the restaurant game. In the spring of 2021, we're opening Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point right here in Gainesville. So we need the 5-star recruits at all the positions in the restaurant, from the front to the rear. And so if you think you got what it takes to make the cut and work for us, I invite you to have a one-on-one meeting and greet with our management team on Wednesday, November 11th at Hotel Indigo at Celebration Point. Learn all about our job opportunities with the restaurant. Now let me make this clear. We're only looking for the best of the best. So if you love your job and you love the restaurant business and want to be part of the most elite team here in Gainesville, then we want you to come and learn more about this experience. With your help and the best food, drinks, and services, we'll make Spurrier's Restaurant the envy of the Bulldogs, the Seminoles, the Vols, and everybody. So we look forward to seeing you November 11th, and we plan to meet at Hotel Indigo at Celebration Point. So go to SpurrierDraft.com, fill out the application, and we'll see you then. Take care and go Gators.
Back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point's where the Gators come to celebrate, with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming spring of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visored Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators come to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline by a guy who probably is going to have a free tab at the new Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, Hall of Fame quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner in 1996, Danny Wuerffel. Good morning, Danny. How are you?
Hey, man. It's great to be on the show. I don't know about a free tab there. Coach Spurrier is one of the most amazing people I know, but I'm not sure about that.
I agree. That was totally a joke. We know ain't nothing going to be free there. So, Danny, this week is your Desire Cup, which is a huge fundraiser for Desire Street Ministries. This is our Monday show. The event is Thursday and Friday. You've moved locations. It's the 10th year of the Desire Cup. Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, you've been great. You've been such a faithful participant, so thank you for that. But we bring a lot of Florida greats together, and Coach Spurrier will be there, and many other players, and Coach Dooley from the Georgia side, and many players from their team will gather. And it's just been a real fun event to kind of have competitive golf between Florida and Georgia folks. We've done it at different places, typically at Sawgrass, and this year we've moved to St. Simon's and are doing it at Sea Island. It's our 10th anniversary, so we're really excited about that. We're a little bit like everybody these days, a little bit limited with what we can do with COVID. So it's going to be a little bit smaller than normal, and we're sold out in terms of our capacity, but we're really excited about it. There are a few spots left for golf if people want to come up and golf on Friday. And then, of course, we have what we call the 19th hole, which is a way for people to support our work in the event, even if they can't be there. So if people would go to desirestreet.org, you can help us out from afar. So, yeah, thanks for asking, Shane.
Yeah, so, Danny, this is the 10th year, as you mentioned. Talk a little bit about how much money, roughly, you've been able to raise over the 10 years for this event.
Well, each year's a little bit different. Last year was our biggest year, and we actually netted about $300,000, which was just an incredible help for what we're doing, and the work that we do in under-resourced neighborhoods all over the South. All this money will go towards that, and we've got a 5-year goal now to impact 20 neighborhoods going forward over the next 5 years, and this money will go directly to that.
So you've been in the Ponte Vedra Sawgrass area for 9 of the years. So were the Georgia Bulldogs bitching and complaining and said, "Hey, man, you need to take this event to the state of Georgia"?
Well, we did 2 up in Amelia Island.
That's right.
So we not all the way to Georgia, but we got a little bit closer for some of our Bulldog friends. So just trying to change it up a little bit, get a little bit more Georgia participation, and I may not use the same words, but maybe so.
Danny, also I want to talk to you about the Wuerffel Trophy. A lot of people may not realize about the Wuerffel Trophy around the country. Obviously, they've heard of the Heisman, the Maxwell, the Jim Thorpe, those type of awards. Talk about when you started the Wuerffel Trophy. And I want to say coaches or sports information people nominate certain players. How's that all work out?
Yeah, so, there's an award for just about everything on the field, and then there's a great award for the Scholar Athlete of the Year, the Campbell Trophy from the National Football Foundation. But, a lot of these guys are doing incredible amounts of community service and not being recognized for it. And so about 15 years ago, a group asked if I would lend my name to this effort to really inspire people to do more service in the world by honoring the college football players who excel at it. And so we've been on this journey, and each year we get about 100 nominees from Division I football players all over the country. Typically, it's a sports information director or athletic director that will nominate. And then we've got selection committee. We've got different coaches and broadcasters and former winners that all vote, really primarily looking at their community service sheets. So you're talking about hundreds or thousands of hours of time where they're serving in their neighborhoods, reading at schools, going on mission trips, you name it, they've been a part of it. And so it's just been an incredible, exciting thing. And, the whole idea is to inspire greater service in the world. And this is our ability to use the platform of football to highlight great work and encourage all of us to do a little bit more.
So when you have a big banquet, I believe, and give out this award, is it in Fort Walton Beach?
It is, yep. In Fort Walton, typically in February is when we actually present the award. But we announce it in New York in years past, along with the National Football Foundation's banquet. And this year is going to be a little different. Everything's a little bit in flux with COVID, but we've got a lot of nominees in again, and we're looking forward to honoring all of them, and especially the winner.
We got a text here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Larry. He wants to know, Danny, why don't we ever see you on the Nissan Heisman House commercials?
Well, I had my run a few years ago. I went 2 years in a row. It's been about 3 or 4 years. So if you YouTube it or Google it, you'll find me on some, just not on some of the recent ones. It's actually everyone loves it so much. There's huge competition to get on it. So every year everybody's trying to jockey to be a part of it. But I made the cut a few years ago. Tons of fun.
Where do they shoot that? What house is that? Where's it located?
Well, it's been a few different places. Originally, many of the years, it was at a place in Pasadena, California, an old house that's now sort of a public museum that you can rent. I think that the commercials I saw for this year were filmed somewhere else. I'm not even sure where they were filmed, but it looked like a different spot. But yeah, it's a fun event.
No doubt. We're speaking with Danny Wuerffel a few more minutes here with the 1996 Heisman Trophy winner. Gators sit at 2-1, had some COVID issues. What have you seen from the Gators, especially offensively, in the 3 games that we've played this year, Danny?
Well, I probably don't have any insight that you haven't covered at great detail and probably with more passion. But, I mean, offensively, it's been incredibly exciting to see. I've been a big fan of Trask since early last year, and just really think that he's a tremendous quarterback, obviously, and has the skills that I think can translate even to the next level well. And then you get the great weapons around him, and Kyle Pitts and everybody else. It's just fun to watch, which then makes it as equally as frustrating that we've struggled so much at defense, because this clearly could be an outstanding year, and still can be. But we're going to have to, really step up that defense and get them the ball a few more times, and then it could be really special.
So are we allowed to ask you right now, there are a few weeks into the season, I guess some teams have played 5 games. Who is Danny Wuerffel? Who's on the ballot for Danny Wuerffel for the Heisman Trophy winner this year?
Oh, it's so early. Yeah, I definitely will. We'll wait that through, but it's fun to know that we got a guy at Florida that's turning heads already, and hopefully he'll continue to do well and get on that ballot. But we'll have to follow up on that one later.
Yeah. Last thing for you, Danny. Let everybody know. We're going to put it on our Facebook page here. Let everybody know if they do want to come play golf, there's still room available, but how they can donate to the 19th hole. And also, can you mention some of the former players from Georgia and Florida that may be there?
Yeah, for sure. So, obviously we're grateful to have you there. Judd Davis will be there. We got a quarterback kicker contingent, Steve Spurrier, and probably not this year, but in several years, Tim Tebow's come by and been there for us, which has been great. Doug Johnson's going to show up and be a part as well this year. So we're continuing our QB kicker domination. Georgia, Vince Dooley, as I mentioned, in years past, Herschel Walker has come, but Kevin Butler, the great kicker, Lindsey Scott, and several others will be joining us from the Georgia side this year as well. And again, it's desirestreet.org, one long word and spell out street, desirestreet.org. And you can get all the information. There's a few spots left to golf on Friday. And then, of course, the 19th hole would be greatly appreciated if anybody can help support the event just from afar. So appreciate you, Shane, for everything. Thanks for having me on the show, and keep up all the good work, buddy.
Thank you, Danny. We appreciate you joining the program. Stay safe, and we'll see you this weekend, buddy.
Sounds great. Thanks.
That's the 96 Heisman Trophy winner, Danny Wuerffel, join us on the Titan MR hotline. We're going to take our final time out of the program. When we come back, we're going to wrap up this Monday edition.
This is Shane Matthews. Thank you for listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. You can also check me out on Inside the Huddle with Steve Russell and the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. Tune in every Tuesday during football season on WRUF 98.1 FM, 8:50 a.m. at 10 o'clock in the morning, or find us on your favorite podcast platform.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility.
Area Rug Masters, your number one choice in Gainesville for all your rug cleaning services.
Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance, Pomodoro Cafe,
Big Mills Cheesesteaks,
MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith Personal Injury Attorneys, Orange Theory Fitness, PRP Regeneration Specialist, and Dowling Signs.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We got a text here on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Daryl. He says, it goes to show you how much North Carolina was overrated after Louisville smoked FSU. And JC is a fan of all teams with his hat collection. No doubt about that, Daryl. Let's get to our This Day in Sports is brought to you by Area Rug Masters, Gainesville's most trusted area rug cleaners. With free pickup and delivery, Area Rug Masters is the convenient way to keep the focal point of your room looking brand new. Call Area Rug Masters 352-448-5999. In 2018, the longest baseball World Series game by both innings and time, the Dodgers beat the Red Sox 3-2 in 18 innings, which was 7 hours and 20 minutes in Game 3 at Dodger Stadium with a Max Muncy walk-off homer. That's brought to you by Area Rug Masters, Gainesville's most trusted area rug cleaners. We really want to thank JC, Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com for joining the program, and also my good buddy Danny Wuerffel. Be up at his event Thursday and Friday. It's the 10th year anniversary of the Desire Cup. Outstanding event. If you can help out in any way, do that. Also, tomorrow's program, got a good one. We're going to have Buddy Martin as usual on Tuesday, but we're going to have Carlos Alvarez, the Cuban Comet, talking about his documentary that will go on the SEC network tomorrow night. Today's show is a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Take care out there, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.